Okay, so we are back with part two um, of how to use Pixlr. Okay, make sure I'm recording. Anyway, so I got my image, and I thought it's too zoomed in right now. Like, why is it like that? And then I realized I need to show you how to do that too. Over here on the right, you've got layers, and then on top of that, you got something called navigate. So there it's going to show you where you are in the image, and it's really neat. You can move around there, or of course you can use the bar to move around. I'm going to go ahead and reduce it though so I can see the whole image, which is really important in cropping. Down here where it says layers, we are totes going to use that, but not yet. And if you already want to play with it or whatever, do it. But really, layers is exactly what it sounds like it is. It's layers. It's like layers of a cake. You can add a whole bunch of pictures on top of each other, and you can change their transparency, which means whether or not they're see-through, so that they actually multiple expose. They look, that's what we used to call as multiple exposure, but it's going to put pictures on top of each other, and you can play with each of those layers and stuff. However, Photoshop does it better. So if we're back in school, it'd be great if we got, that demo on Photoshop. You'll also find that your computer's going to crash Pixlr a lot. Pixlr's going to crash if you have more than 3 of those layers. It gets very tedious because you're dealing with a lot of information. But anyway, okay, so let's talk about cropping. Okay, I know you guys know how to crop on your phone. The thing about cropping, though, is sometimes we don't understand how to control that cropping, how to make it be the size, the actual size that we want. Images, when they only exist here on our computers, can be they can be an illusion. They look big, they look beautiful, but then when you try to print them out or do something with them where they actually become real objects, they get all pixelated and stuff, right? So we're going to talk a little bit more about file size coming up, about what a big file size is. But we need to use big file sizes. We're photographers now, right? So this is opened up, and I'm going to go over here to move transforms and change layers. That, by the way, that's important. We'll get to that later. But this is your cropping tool right here. Okay, so anyway, width, height, straighten. Okay, now straighten, I'm sure you guys have done this on your cameras too. If you have taken a picture of, say, a flat piece of artwork, a lot of times you try to crop off the edges and you realize it's not straight, it's diagonal and stuff. That's what that's for. You probably shouldn't have to use that. Go to select aspect. Okay, aspect ratio, and you can see I've already got mine set for square because it's the last thing I did, right? The aspect ratio is like the height and width dimension as compared to one another. And this is a square. Now, this is tricky, but I used to have people all the time when I worked at a camera store ask me to make, say, a 4x6. Let's say you're making a square out of a rectangle. All of our cameras capture rectangles. So to make them a square, you're going to lose stuff. You're going to lose stuff. You get to choose what you're going to lose, but you're going to lose stuff. If you actually change the aspect ratio, and this is one of my most annoying things on the planet, when people move or change an image by stretching it either vertically or horizontally, and it distorts the person or the thing in the frame. That drives me nuts. The only way to get a square out of a rectangle without distorting it, squishing it, or stretching it, is to cut off the ends. Okay, so when it looks like this, we have a square, but we get to choose what part we're going to cut off. Now, of course, there's no way on earth I'm going to cut out, like, I'm not going to cut off the bottom of that. That's super awkward. So when you're making a square, this thing's actually locked in already at the aspect ratio, so it's not going to do any stretching or whatever. I mean, I generally never, ever use this measurement, but you can see this thing's not going to do it anyway. But on a lot of programs, if you crop and you pull using just like this top or this side, that's when it starts doing that gross stretching thing. So always use the corner when you're resizing something so that you lock the aspect ratio. And like I said, Pixlr actually locks it for you when you go to this. So anywho, I've got that going. But you also might want to move it. Maybe you don't, you know, you can see whenever you move it, it comes up with that crosshair with the little, you know, plus sign. So I'm just going to kind of pick, like, I don't want her, meaning my daughter's legs, to be right in the middle. I want it to be like sort of down. We're going to talk a lot about the rule of thirds, which is a compositional tool, but we'll do that later. What you want to do is kind of balance it so that the focal point, which in this case is the opening in the person's legs, maybe isn't exactly in the middle. It's nice to have that off center. We'll talk about why later, but anyway, this is up to you. You go ahead and choose. And over here, you can see this preset. It says 1 by 1 square, right? I'm going to choose that, but here I'm also going to put 6 and 6. Now it's going to look the same on this screen, but your final image is actually going to be used, hopefully, if we go back to school, to print a huge mural where everyone's a 6 by 6 and we put them all together. It makes a giant mural. So if you make it 1 by 1, it'll automatically default print to 1 by 1. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know the ins and outs of pixels that much, but I'm pretty sure it will actually be a smaller resolution as well. So set that for 6 by 6 and this for square, and then push apply. And then go ahead and download it. So push save. This is big, and real photographers, people who do photography for a living, we call it file management. It is big because you're managing files all the time. And just imagine if you shot, say, I don't know, 20,000 files at a wedding. You have to manage them. Where do they go? What are they called? How do you find them again? That kind of thing, right? So always, 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 when you are doing editing, change the name, because one number looks like another. So I'm going to call it, I don't know, let's just call it legs. How about creepy legs? And here, I am always advocating, and I know it can be annoying, but more resolution, more, bigger, bigger images, quality, 100%. Why go quality 80% when you can be quality 100%? Okay, so pump it up, make sure it's high, make sure it's 100%, and then download. Now, because I chose the high quality, it's going to take a little bit longer, but that's cool. It's probably going to allow you, I hope, to choose where you put your image. I always put mine on the desktop, but I don't know if Chrome's going to let you do that or not. You might have to put it in downloads. You might have to put it in images, but you want to put it somewhere where you can find it. And look, image was saved to the default download. Ooh, that's important. So when I go back to find it, I'm going to need to go to the downloads folder to find it, to work with it, etc. So I hope this helps, and I hope you guys have fun taking pics and working on editing, which is the best part. So enjoy.